So my name is Benoit, and I'm what we called at AddGene an outreach and business development manager. So basically, my role at AddGene is to raise awareness about AddGene within the research community, to let people know what AddGene is about, what we are doing, and how we can help the research community on their for their research, basically. So that's why I wanted to reach out to you and introduce what is AddGene. So that's why my title is Introduction to AddGene, which is a unique nonprofit organization accelerating your science. So next slide, please. Thank you. So you feel free to interrupt me and ask questions during the presentation, and or you can also wait till the end to ask me any questions. So AddGene, as I put in the title, AddGene is a non-profit organization. So we are not a company. We really are an organization that, and we are not we are driven by a mission, which is to accelerate research and discovery by improving the access to useful research material and also information. So this is based on, so it has been created almost 20 years ago now, in 2004. And it comes with the idea from the founder, which is Melina Fan, that she was in PhD student. She was struggling to have plasmids from peers, and she thought that it would be great to have a place where we have all the plasmids that have been created in the world, and where this place could be accessible to everybody in the world, so they have access to this. And so we started as a non-profit plasmid repository. So that's why our main service are plasmids. So we have a huge database of plasmids that are easily accessible. And then it derived to other services that are based on plasmid, which is a viral vector production line as well. And recently as well, we moved to an antibody production line where we are offering ready-to-use antibodies. And also, as I said, one of our mission is to share useful research information. So we also have educational resources such as protocols, blog posts, videos, ebooks on different topics, but mainly on molecular biology, laboratory research, and career advice. So I will go through details during the presentation about those different services. Thank you. So I would like first to give you some numbers about AddGene and to let you know that AddGene is unique in the sense that we are a plasmid repository that have more than 130,000 plasmid stored in our facilities, and these plasmids are coming from that more than 5,000 labs across 54 countries. And to give you an idea as well, that per month we are distributing more than 13,000 plasmids and 1,500 viral particles. So it gives you a bit the size of our business. And the distribution is everywhere in the world, mostly. And so we already distributed into more than 110 countries so far. Of course, you have some countries that we cannot go, but yeah, most of the country we can reach out. And so, as I say, AddGene helps scientists primarily share their plasmids. So basically, we are the middleman between scientists that have created the plasmids, that have published plasmids or published an articles where you have plasmids that have been described, and the researcher that is on this side of the world and that would like to use that plasmid for their research. So if you look at on the right hand side, you can see circles where on the top of the circle you have the lab that modify the plasmids and they make new plasmids, and this lab deposit this plasmid to AddGene because we are a repository primarily. So AddGene conduct on this plasmid some quality control, and we make sure that the plasmid that is coming from the lab is the right ones, and then we make it available to the public, and so the people can have access to these plasmids and then can work with this plasmid, or can do the research, and they can also optimize the plasmids, modify it, and then put it back to AddGene, and then it goes on in circles. So we have some examples of plasmid, for example, CRISPR-Cas9 plasmid that were invented by one lab, and then put it at plasmid, get it from for another lab that are modified to use it in another species or in another type of cells, and then it's go on like that. So it's really what we want to do is that providing this kind of research tools so that people can use it and then improve as well the technique. So AddGene collection is quite big. As I mentioned earlier, we have 130,000 of plasmids. So I cannot go through during the presentation all the plasmids that we have. But for example, if you go to our website and go and browse our catalog, you can see that you can search by type, which is either plasmid or the other services that I'm going to detail later. And if you go on the next slide, please. When you go on browsing our AddGene repository, you can see that we have plasmid coming from different research topics. So you can see that we have different expression systems. For example, it can be in plant, bacteria, insect, mammalian, worms, or yeast. We have different species as well as for genes. So you can have mouse. Primarily, we have mouse and human. But you can also have chicken, fly, nematode, etc., etc. We have as well the different plasmid collection, where we put together different plasmid that are making for a collection like bacterial expression, or for example chemogenetics, or we're talking earlier about CRISPR or genome engineering. So we have different. We're trying to curating this website so you can find easily the plasmid that you are looking for your research. And of course, you can just type as well the name of the plasmid that you're looking for, the name of the institution, or the name of the researcher that you know have the plasmid, and you can find them on AddGene collection. Next slide, please. And so if you're familiar with AddGene, you will already see that type of page. But basically, once every single plasmid has its own web page, where you can find the name of the plasmid that is on top. Then you have access to the purpose of the plasmid, to the name of the lab that has created the plasmid, to the publication where the plasmid has been described. And of course, you have also access to sequence, because we get the sequence from either the lab itself, or we perform as well sequencing on the plasmid that are at AddGene. So you have access to this data, and also you have access as well to the plasmid backbone information, to the gene that has been inserted, to any kind of features of the plasmid, if there is any tag or any specific promoter. You can have access as well to protocols. So those protocols are coming from the lab. So if the lab is providing us the protocols, we will put that on that page. You also have access to the paper, to other papers that are using the plasmids and that have cited the plasmids. The depositors, so the people that are providing the plasmid, can also put some notes there. So sometimes some plasmid are difficult to use or need to a specific protocol to be used. So the depositor, the lab, can put some notes here. And also at the end, you have as well a way of instructing the people that are using the plasmid how to cite the plasmid, because I wanted to point out that all the plasmid that are at AddGene are coming from academic labs. And so they have been created by labs that don't belong to AddGene. They belong to these people. And so here AddGene is just there to help them sharing the plasmid. So at the end of the day, when people are using those plasmid, they have to cite the lab that has created the plasmid, and not AddGene. We're just a middleman there. So I wanted then to jump into a service that we have started, I think, 4 or 5 years ago now, which is a ready-to-use viral particle. So AddGene is mainly known for being a plasmid repository, but we found out that a lot of people were as well interested in getting the viral particle straight away, so they can use it straight away on their research, and specifically AAV, because AAV, maybe some of you knows that AAV is quite difficult to produce in-house. It's not trivial. So having the AAV ready to use, it was something that the community wanted to have. So we started from some plasmids that we already have at AddGene to produce them and produce AAV particles and also lentiviral particles. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So these ready-to-use particles, as I said, it's AAV and lentivirus. For lentivirus, it's mainly a collection of lentiviral particles for CRISPR-Cas9 and also some of them for expression of COVID, and you have also pool libraries there. So it's mainly for this application. AAV, we have more of AAV, and people are requesting more AAV particles, especially for optogenetics, chemogenetics, different application as well in neuroscience. And because, as I say, the AAV is not trivial to produce in your lab. And so the main thing, if you're interested in AAV particles, is to go and check what we have. What we can, so what is listed in our website is what we have in stock, what we are producing. But we don't do yet a la carte production, which means that you cannot say, oh, can I have this viral particle with this specific protein expression or this specific construction. We don't have the capacity to do that now. So we have just a list of ready-to-use particles that you can have access. Next slide, please. And so based as well on the success of viral particle, we started a partnership with the University of California, Davis, and the NeuroMab, which is a neuroscience lab headed by James Trimmer, which has a huge, first of all, they have a huge collection of hybridomas for monoclonal antibodies. And they started to sequence those hybridomas and create recombinant antibodies. So basically what they did, they have sequenced the heavy chain and the light chain of antibodies into a plasmid, and they have created this resource. So we started a partnership with them to create NABOR, which is a neuroscience antibody open resource, which is financed by the NIH. And so we started with NABOR with the idea of providing access to plasmid sequence and ready-to-use antibodies. And the validation is done through QC, and so quality control and a crowdsourced functional characterization. So basically, for example, for this NeuroMab antibody, it's James Trimmer's lab, for example, that is doing the functional characterization. And also, we want to provide as well educational information to improve protocols and promote as well successful use. And it's from this idea that occurred 3 years ago, we came with the idea of creating a recombinant antibody service where people, same way as viral service, people will deposit their recombinant antibody plasmid to AddGene, and AddGene will select some of them and then produce the recombinant antibody in-house, either using cells or bacteria, and then providing this ready-to-use recombinant antibody to the research community. And sorry for the plasmid that doesn't go well on the slide. Can I have the slide? Thank you very much. And so the antibody collection, we started ready to tackle in like a year or 2 years ago. And so basically right now we have 150 antibodies that are accessible for the research community, mainly coming from the EuroMap collection from James Streamer, as I was saying, because what started that project was the partnership with James Streamer to create Neighbor. And so we have I think it's 128 antibodies from this collection that would target mainly neuroscience proteins like the anti-GFAP or PSD95 or neurofacins, for example. So you have a long list of this that is mainly for neuroscience. And on top of that, AddGene starting to create more general use antibody, for example, that can target tags like HA or GFP, or that can target more general use protein like the alpha tubulin. And what is nice with the antibodies, you can stay on the, thank you. What is nice with recombinant antibodies is that because you have the plasmid, you can play with the plasmid to do whatever you want at the end. So what we are starting to do, for example, for the plasmid that we are starting to switch isotype and also to switch species. So if at the beginning we had like a mouse IgG1 antibody for anti-HA, we can now have a mouse IgG1, IgG2A, IgG2B. We can have a rat, a different isotype from the rat. We can even have isotype for chicken. And so because we just have to change the constant region of the antibody on the plasmid, and this is just sequencing, getting the PCR done, cDNA, and then clone it into the plasmid. So that's one of the benefits of having the recombinant antibodies. Then you can customize it a little bit afterwards. So next slide now. So now I gave you an overview, I guess, of the collection that we have at AddGene. We have the collection of plasmids. We have the collection of ready-to-use viral particle. We have the collection of antibodies. Now, I wanted to go a little bit more into detail into how you can have access to that and how is the ordering from AddGene. And then in the second time, I will go into details of how, as a researcher, you can deposit your plasmids and then put your plasmid at AddGene so it can be accessible for everybody in the world. So some people told me that ordering from AddGene was like ordering from Amazon because so in Brazil you can have two choices. Either you choose to ordering straight away to our website, or you can use signups as to order the plasmid. And I will go through the details of this ordering. But if you go straight to AddGene, so next slide. So ordering from AddGene is quite easy. Is that you need to have an account, so you can create an account on our website. You're logging into the website. You search for the plasmid that you would like to have, or the different plasmid that you would like to have. Then you add to your basket or to your cart. You check out, and then you have some legal agreements to address, and then AddGene will process the plasmid and then ship it to you, and then you can do your research. So that's why people think that it's a bit like Amazon. And also, into details when you check out your submit legal agreement. So the legal agreement that we have is that for each order you have to sign a recipient scientist agreement. In this agreement, basically it's term of condition of the request. In this agreement, you agree that you will be the only one that use the plasmid and that you will cite the work of your peers when you use the plasmid for publication. Then you will have to have a material transfer agreement to be processed, and this has to be processed with your the institution where you work. So your institution has to agree for the material transfer agreement from AddGene to your institution, and AddGene will assist with that. And the MTA has to be signed for the order to be processed. So we don't ship any order if the MTA has not been signed, because we want all the transfer to be protected. If you order for AddGene, the plasmid will ship straight away to your lab. The payment will be via AddGene as well, and you will be responsible for all the customs and importation fees if it's applicable. And I know that sometimes in Brazil, it can be complicated in that way. So that's why we have, next slide, please. That's why we have a partnership with Synapse that help us providing AddGene plasmids to the Brazilian community. And so if you choose to order via Synapse, it's the same idea. You go on AddGene website, you look at the plasmid that you would like to order, and then you place the order through Synapse, either by phone or by email. And then it's Synapse that will assist you with the MTA paperwork, and AddGene will then send the plasmid to your lab, but via Synapse. And the payment has to be processed via Synapse, and importation fees, if they are applicable, will be included in the final cost. So if you go via Synapse, you will have to see with them in terms of all the process. But that's how it will work. So next slide. So now I will go on the other side, I would say, of the business, which is how you can join the AddGene community and how you can provide some plasmid to the repository that will be accessible for everybody. So you have a lot of benefits of depositing your plasmid. If you work in the lab for a long time with plasmid, you know that sometimes it's complicated to get the plasmid, to get it right, to have the right ones. And if you have a plasmid that you want to share with your peers, it takes a lot of time as well to prepare the plasmid, to ship to someone that is outside Brazil, for example. So by putting your plasmid at AddGene will take care of all this process, and you will save time and money in terms of diffusing your materials outside. It would stay organized as well, because all our plasmids are well detected, well labeled in our freezer. You always have a unique code for each plasmid. And the main thing for you as well is that it will increase the citation of your lab and the visibility of your lab, because you will put that at AddGene. People that will search for plasmids and might find your plasmid, they will request it, and then they will cite your work. And then the more requests you will have for your plasmid, the more people outside Brazil and maybe outside your topic will know your lab, and then they can come back to you for collaboration, for example. And it will increase the citation of your published plasmids. And of course, you share with the community, which is one of the things that it's one of the ethics of being a scientist, is that to create and to show your work, and then to provide as well for the community. And also we put some kind of a reward as well, which is each time, I will go into detail, but we have a reward program where when the more your plasmid is requested by others, and the more points you can get, and the more free plasmid you can get. And I wanted to as well to to let you know that the deposit process, it's easy to do and it's free of charge. So that you don't have to pay anything to put your plasmids at AddGene. Next slide. So this is an overview of the deposit process. And so there is 4 steps. First is the plasmid information. Then you have, again, this legal paperwork, which is a deposit MTA. Then you send the samples to AddGene. AddGene store the samples, do quality control, and the deposit is complete and available. So I'll go into details about the process now. Next slide. So there's 2 ways to enter your data about the plasmid on our website. Is either going online, which is great, but you will see that it can be complicated because it takes time. So I would suggest more that to download our Excel spreadsheet and then put all the information about your plasmids into the Excel spreadsheet and then sending the spreadsheet to us, and we will enter that into our database. It will be easier. So what we need exactly is that we need all the information about the plasmids. I think it's on the next slide maybe that I will go into. Yeah. So what we need exactly is that all the information that is needed to use the plasmids or to modify the plasmids. Basically, all the information that you would put into an article. And so basically, we need to have the backbone name, for example, all the features, what kind of gene you have, what kind of tag you have, what kind of species you have to use for your plasmids, what kind of promoter you need, of course, the bacterial resistance. All this information are essential. Then you can provide us as well with the sequence. If you have one, if you have a partial one, it's great. If you don't have one, it's okay. Plasmid maps as well. The original publication, so the PubMed ID. This is essential if you want to have the benefit of being cited at the end, so people can cite your article. And if you have protocols, it's great, and any other useful information. Next slide. And then once we have this at AddGene in our database, all the information, we will send you what we call a deposit kit. So basically, you will receive barcoded sticker for your each barcode for each plasmid you have deposited. You have a transport box and either a DHL account number or a FedEx account number and paperwork for free shipping. So basically, when you have it, this kit, you just have to put 10 microliter of a mini prep of DNA in an pod of tubes. Use the barcode sticker to put in it, and then use the prepaid envelope to ship your plasmid to AddGene facility in the US. It's easier with DNA. You can also send some bacterial streak on the agar plate, or as well 96 well plates containing DNA for large collection. But yeah, the easiest way to do it is DNA from a mini prep. Next slide, please. And so once we receive the plasmid in our facility, they will be stored as bacterial stocks in triplicate. So basically, we will transform the DNA into bacteria, and then from these clones, we'll have 2 glycerol stocks on site and a backup, which will be in an NIH facility in Virginia. And AddGene would then perform sequencing on the plasmid. So now we use NGS to sequence the whole plasmid. So you will have the whole plasmid sequence. And of course, if we find any issue in the sequence or if we are not sure about the sequence, we will come back to you and let you know if there is something else that we have to do to have the right sequence, or maybe you can provide us with another clone. But yeah, we check that the sequence is the right one and is the one that you're providing us. And of course, AddGene, we work with your tech transfer office at your institution, because to have an MTA attached to each plasmid. So basically, it's called a deposit agreement, and by this agreement, you allow AddGene to distribute your plasmids on your behalf, basically. But you still have the ownership of the plasmids, so you can do whatever you want with those plasmids, meaning that you can also share this plasmid with other people without using AddGene. It's up to you. You still have the ownership of the plasmids. So next slide. So once the whole process, so the MTA has been signed by your institution, the quality control is good, the plasmid are good, you will end up with your plasmid listed in a web page with your name. So here, for example, I took the example of Bob Weiberg lab. And so it has a web page with his addgene.org with his name. And then when you go on that web page, you have the list of all the plasmid that he has deposited at AddGene. So you can use then that link to put on your website. For example, if your lab website, you can put that. And we even have a button where you can have the HTML of this web page, and you can embed that into your website. And so people that goes on your lab website, they can have access straight away to your plasmid at AddGene. Next slide. And of course, because those are your plasmids, you have total access to the data for your plasmids. So you can view all the requests for your plasmids via your AddGene account. And we ask the lab to cite your articles and acknowledge your lab in future publications. So from this data, you can see who is doing it or not. And which is nice with that, so that you know exactly who is using your plasmids and which institution and which lab. So some people are using that purely for information. Some other people are doing that to spy a little bit on their competitors, because they can see if they are using it or not. So next slide. So it brings me to the reward program that I told you about earlier. So each time one of your plasmid that is at AddGene is requested by a lab, you will get 1 point. And after 15 points, so 1.5, you will get a free plasmid from us. So if you go back to the slide, the previous slide, please, with Bob Weiberg example. So if you look at the date, no, this one, sorry. The tracking request for your plasmid slides. All right. So if you look at the dates of the plasmid that have been requested, Bob Weiberg has around 5 to 6 requests per day. So every 3 days, he has enough points to get a free plasmid from us. So some labs like the Bob Weiberg or Fenzheng or Jennifer Doudna, they have so much point they never pay when they need a plasmid, because they put a lot of plasmid available to the community, get a lot of requests, get a lot of points, and then they have basically a free access to our collection. And that's exactly what we want. We want that a dynamic that works like that. So next slide. After the free plasmid. So here, yeah, I talk about the collection at AddGene. I talk about how you can order or request plasmid at AddGene, or you can deposit plasmid at AddGene. But also AddGene is a lot of resource and technical support. So roughly we have 7,000 researcher inquiries answered per year by our team at AddGene. And so you can ask them any questions about how to order, how to deposit, if you have any problem with the sequence, if you have any problem with MTA, with RSA, everything, they will be happy to help you. But also AddGene it's a hub for resource. So we have educational resources that are available through different channels. So we have a blog. So this blog is, we have around 100,000 views per month, and we are more than 450 blog posts total right now. So there we are publishing articles about different topics, mainly about molecular biology and plasmid-related topics, but also career advice for PhD students, for example, for postdocs. And we accept as well external contributions. So if you're interested in writing an article about a plasmid or a collection or anything, and you are into science communication, feel free to reach out to us. We also have a lot of protocols that are attached to other plasmid collection or plasmids. And we also have a YouTube channel that it's quite popular, where we have almost 100 videos there. And so those are videos about career development, but also about how to do basic protocol in the lab, like making an LB agar plate, or how to aliquot things, or to transform a plasmid in bacteria, this kind of things. And also we have video that show you the process of how to order at AddGene, or the process of how to deposit at AddGene. And for the student as well, we have ebooks that they can be downloaded. So for example, Plasmid 101, so it's about molecular biology about plasmid. We have CRISPR 101, which is about this technique, and also fluorescent protein. And so far, we already have more than 40,000 downloads for these ebooks, and they are constantly updated. Right now, we just updated CRISPR 101, and we are in the process of updating Plasmid 101 ebook. And also part of this sharing information, we have created with the AAV service, we have created a data hub. So this idea is that for people that are getting AAV from AddGene, that are using the AAV, we would like them to come back to us with some data about the experiment that they did. We are happy to have positive results, negative results. We just want to have a hub where people can say, this, for example, this AAV works perfectly on neurons, but when I try it on this other cells, it doesn't work at all, or this kind of things. So people are aware, and when they have ideas that before choosing one particular viral particle, they have all the data in hands to choose. And so the Data Hub is an open platform for scientists using AAV. And soon, I think in Q4 this year, we have as well our antibodies that would be shared, data about antibodies that will be shared as well. And so it contains valuable information. So to better understand the tools that we are making and that you are using, and it can give you some insight before choosing one or other viral particle. And it's a rewarding experience, because you can when you contribute to data, you support open science and reproducibility, and you receive recognition for your work, and you help other scientists. And we now have put in place that each report will have a DOI, so you can have as well this DOI sequence, and so you can put that into a publication, and it would be it's a bit like considered as a publication. And we also have two different features here as well to help you have access to this information. We have AddGene newsletter, so it's not a daily or a weekly newsletter. It's like 3-4 times a year you will receive the newsletter from AddGene, where you have information about what is some hot plasmids, or application, or a link to a blog post. And also, we always want to have more and more plasmid available at AddGene. So if you can't find a plasmid in our collection, we have in almost every web page that are hosting in our website, we have a suggest a plasmid button. So you just press it, you put the name of the plasmids that you would like to see on AddGene collection. You put some detail that, and time to time we have we select one entry, and that person can get a T-shirt from us. So feel free to suggest plasmid via this button. And this is my last slide. Basically, I've been through, I guess, all the information and all the service that AddGene can provide. So I'm happy to take any questions. I put as well the two main email address for AddGene if you have an issue, help@addgene.org or deposit@addgene.org if you want to deposit. You can follow us as well on different social media. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Benoit. Thank you, guys, for the present today. If someone have any questions, could you raise your hand or text on the chat? If someone wants to ask personally something to Dr. Benoit, could send an email to his email or to us in Synapse, and we will be glad to help you.